And Susan Milner, and we are reading chapter 13 of book number 1, A Healing in Jesus' Name. The meal, I already have to clear my throat, sorry. I just cannot seem to get over this cold, but I'm not going to let it deter me. Okay. The meal turned out pleasant enough, except Shelley burned the rolls, giving Robert room to joke about her lack of culinary skills. Ignoring him, she turned her attention to the dinner conversation, which focused mostly on Bree and her summer stock experience. However, Shelley knew that wouldn't deter her ex-husband. It was later that afternoon that he showed his stripes. Robert thought he had Shelley cornered alone out back, while Ricky and Eric played ball with the boys in the front yard, where there was more room. Shelley, now that the boys are home, what type of arrangements have you and Eric made? Arrangements? Shelley asked, her eyes wide. Robert's voice held irritation. Yes, Shelley. I mean, how have you decided you'll handle things? Shelley shrugged. I don't understand. Robert pressed his lips together and placed his hands on his hips. Will you please stop acting so innocent? It is an act, and we both know it. You're so annoying sometimes. Now, will you please simply answer my question? Shelley's chin quivered, which made her angry at herself. Why did she allow him to get to her like she did? What about him made her feel like cowering? She sucked in a breath. Ask a question that makes sense, and I'll answer it. He lashed out. Okay, Shelley, I'll put it so even you can understand. Are you screwing this guy? Shelley's face reddened, more from anger than from embarrassment. She and Robert stood, glaring at each other. They turned when they heard a rustling sound coming from the side of the house, and Ricky emerged, carrying the ball that he'd been searching for in the bushes. He didn't acknowledge that he'd heard them. He smiled and held the ball up and headed back to the front yard. They remained silent as they waited for him to leave the area. Once he was gone, Robert dove right back in. Do you understand, Shelley, that with 2 young boys in the house, you have to be discreet? Have you thought about them at all? What? No living room orgies? She returned sarcastically. That is a ridiculous question. What about you and little Miss Snow White? I didn't question you. Robert shook his head in disgust. You never accept responsibility, Shelley. You always try to turn things back on me. I am not trying to turn anything on you. I'm just saying that I didn't ask you how you are handling things with Eileen. It never crossed my mind to second guess how you handle the children. You should give me the same credit. It never crossed your mind because you never have a deep thought go through that head of yours. Maybe sometimes you should... Shelley held her hand up to end the lecture before it started. Just stop. She turned toward the front yard and called, Mark! Joey! Come spend some time with your father because he's going to be leaving soon. She glared into Robert's eyes as she spoke the last words, and then turned and stormed into the house. New scene. A little later, Eric and Ricky sat in the living room on the couch with Bree on the floor in front of them, and she giggled as they told her funny stories from the movie sets Ricky had been on. When time neared for Shelley's ex-husband to take his leave, Eric excused himself, rose, and moved to peer out the window. Ricky told him of the conversation he had overheard, and Eric searched for the right way to handle the problems without causing any backlash on Shelley. He could let it go, say nothing, but that would be a coward's way out, and he was no coward. It was time someone stepped in to defend the woman. Robert entered the room, a little boy holding each hand, and Eric turned to face him. Robert, may I speak with you candidly for a moment? Immediately, Ricky rose. Come on, guys, he motioned to the boys. Show me your room. Bree followed Ricky's lead and grabbed Mark and Joey's hands, and they went upstairs. Robert approached Eric, who stood his ground. A tactic of mild intimidation on both men's part. Ricky told me of the conversation, Eric began calmly. He overheard between you and Shelley. And I just wanted you to know that I completely agree with you. Robert's eyebrows rose and Eric continued. Those little boys of yours and Shelley's are adorable, and it's obvious they've been raised well. I'd never think of exposing them to anything that would be considered risque or unwholesome. So please be assured that mine and Shelley's relationship will be handled very discreetly and in good taste. Robert smiled at him and extended his hand. You seem to be a fine, intelligent man, Eric. I appreciate your cooperation. Eric nodded. There's just one more thing, Eric added as he took Robert's hand. As the mother of those boys, Shelley has every right to be spoken to with respect, and we both know that the way you addressed the subject with her was not respectful in any way. Eric's eyes were piercing, and Robert's expression fell. Eric smiled warmly then. So, we have an understanding? Robert cleared his throat. Of course. He withdrew his hand from Eric's grasp. Eileen, he called, are you ready? It's getting late, and we need to get going. Eileen entered, looking relieved. Quickly grabbing her hat and purse, she stood by the door and waited for all of the goodbyes. When Shelley finally closed the front door, she turned, surveyed the mess, decided to ignore it, and went upstairs to her room. Safe and alone, she lay down and stared at the ceiling. Why did he always make her feel like she was nothing? Why did she let him? She tried to sniff back the threatening tears and scrubbed her hands over her face. Finally, exhaustion overcame her. She woke with a start, blinking in the dark, wondering what everyone was up to. While she had apparently taken an impromptu nap, she made her way downstairs. She found the kitchen spotless, the dishwasher humming a contented tune. Peeking out the back door, she found the lot of them outside, lying on the trampoline, talking softly. And she walked out and joined them. Thanks, everyone, for cleaning up for me, she said as they raised their heads at her approach. Well, don't thank us, Bree answered. It was Ricky's idea. He said he owed you one. Eric held his hand out to her and pulled her onto the trampoline, where she squished in between Eric and Bree and stared up at the darkening sky. I feel terrible, Shelley whimpered. Mark sat up. That's Star Wars. Nuh-uh, Bree corrected. The Empire Strikes Back. It's that scene after they just finished torturing Han Solo. What are you talking about? Ricky asked. Oh, it's a game we play, Bree answered. We love old movies, so if a famous line from a movie fits into an everyday situation, we use it, and one of us has to guess the movie. The movie it came from, or the character that said it. It sounds silly, I know, but sometimes it's really funny. Eric smiled at the picture Bree painted. Well, anyway, you may feel terrible now, Shelley, but I'm sure you'll feel better in the morning after you've worked out. Oh, yeah, right, Shelley agreed sarcastically. Come on, Ricky, Joey pleaded. Hurry up and try your triple. A triple? Shelley asked. Yeah, I sort of talked myself into a jam. I told the boys I can do a triple flip, and they don't believe me, so now I have to prove myself. The problem is your trampoline is sprung, and I'm not sure I can get enough height, but I got to give it a try anyway. Well, remember, Shelley said, there is no try. There is only do. Joey jumped up. That's Yoda in Empire Strikes Back again. Everyone moved off the trampoline to give Ricky room. He jumped several times before trying the triple. Unfortunately, he didn't quite make it all the way, and he lay moaning. Bree hopped back on the tramp. Can you move at all? Mark cried out in a feminine voice. If you want, I could fly. Shelley laughed and turned to Eric to explain. That's from The Princess Bride. It's our favorite movie, Joey offered as he climbed back on the tramp and began to bounce. Ricky stood to show he was okay and pulled Bree up with him. Come on, Bree, your turn. No way, she protested. Come on, I've got you, Ricky coaxed. You've got me. Who's got you? She laughed. Shelley, Mark, and Joey all gave the answer. That's Superman. Superman? Eric asked. Yes, the one from a long time ago with Christopher Reeve, Shelley explained. Eric smiled at their game. What an adorable family. He wanted to be part of it. Okay, give me some one-liners and let me try, he said. Everyone climbed back onto the trampoline and sat in a circle and tried to think of easy ones. They're here, Joey said. Ricky jumped in excitedly. Oh, that's Poltergeist. Very good, Shelley sang as if he were a little boy. Mark came up with one. Snakes? I hate snakes, Shelley whispered in Eric's ear. Raiders of the Lost Ark, he repeated. You're cheating, Mom, Mark complained. Well, we're back. In the car again, Bree called out. They waited for Eric and Ricky to answer, but none came. Shelley laughed. That's Jurassic Park, the first one. I got one you'll know, Mark said. Boards don't hit back, he said, trying to imitate a thick Chinese accent. Finally, a light went on in Eric's brain. Oh, that's Bruce Lee in Return of the Dragon. Yay! Everyone cheered for Eric. He finally got one. Well, only sort of, Shelley announced. It's actually Enter the Dragon. I don't think so, Eric defended. Oh, no, believe me, Bree said. If Mom says it's Enter the Dragon, she's right. Yeah, 'cause Mom's in love with Bruce Lee, Joey laughed. Oh, really? Eric teased. Shelley only giggled. Okay, Mom, Bree said, these guys need some help. We're going to call them out to you real fast, and you, Eric, or Ricky answer as fast as you can. Ready? Yes, but don't say any of Ricky's movies, because that wouldn't be fair. Okay, here goes. Nice plant. Big. A little shop of horrors. Bree whispered in Joey's ear. I don't think we're in Kansas anymore, Joey said. Wizard of Oz, Shelley elbowed Eric. Come on, you guys, that was an easy one. You shouldn't have had that. Guns? We don't need no stinking guns, Mark said. Three amigos. I want the knife, please. The golden child. So far, you guys haven't been much help, Shelley laughed. We're trying, they whined. Bree, Mark, and Joey continued their onslaught. You weigh a little more than 108 pounds. Oh, really? That's Batman, one of the really old ones. You're cold because all the blood is running out of your body and you're going to be dead soon. Point Break, the original. Joey giggled. Mom likes that one because Bree and her are both in love with Keanu Reeves. Bree elbowed Joey while Mark continued with the game. Surfing's a source, it'll change your life, swear to God. That's Point Break again, Shelley said. Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth? Oh, rush hour, Ricky yelled. Yes, I got one. Take me to bed or lose me forever, Bree said. Eric's eyes lit up. That is Meg Ryan in Top Gun. Shelley punched Eric. It figures you'd know that one. I'm not sure he's right. Say it again, Bree, Ricky said. She did. Oh, yeah, Bree. I think I remember now. Say it just one more time. Take me to bed or... She stopped, finally realizing what Ricky was doing. Her face turned red. She glanced over at him to find him smiling at her, and he winked. Yo, Rick, there are minors present, Eric said, not to mention Bree's mother. Shelley cleared her throat. Well, I think that's enough for tonight. Well, just one more, Joey yelled. I promise it's an easy one. Okay, one more, Shelley allowed. I love being a turtle, Joey yelled. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, they all chanted together. Shelley smiled and squeezed Eric's hand. Maybe it hadn't been such a bad day after all. Mark and Joey crawled over to either side of Shelley and snuggled up close. Only a few minutes later, the boys were sound asleep. Well, it's been a long day for these little guys, Eric said, flying all the way in from California, and all the excitement of seeing Mom again. I'm sure they're exhausted. I'll help you carry them to bed. Eric lifted Mark, and Ricky offered to take Joey, but Shelley refused. She climbed down off the tramp and let Ricky place him in her arms. And once the boys were tucked snugly into their beds, Eric took Shelley by the hand and led her to the kitchen table and handed her pen and paper. We have things we need to work out. Now? She asked with a yawn. Now is always a good time to accomplish something. While Bree and Ricky chatted in the living room, they worked out a schedule allowing Shelley to keep training intensely, the boys to be properly taken care of, and extra time to give the children their promised lessons. And once they completed the chore, Shelley stood and silently made her way upstairs to her room, motioning for Eric to follow. Once there, she closed and locked the door behind him. He smiled at her. What are you up to, little dandelion? She shrugged. I guess I just wanted to be alone with you. I feel weird, like things are changing. Eric smiled again. Oh, you're getting much better at sorting out your feelings and emotions. Yes, Shelley, things are changing. It's not just you and me anymore, but we got this handled. There's enough love to go around for everyone. Well, if that's so, then why do I feel so drained? Eric sat her down on the bed and knelt in front of her. You've had a hard day, that's all. Some of your pride and dignity were taken from you, but that's okay, because I'm just the man to put it back. He cupped her face in his hands and kissed her gently. You are so lovely, he whispered. Shelley reached out to him. I need you. She entwined her fingers in his hair and pulled him forward. And I'll always be here for you, he promised as he kissed her sweetly. New scene. Over the next several months, Ricky and Eric made time to work with Mark and Joey and promoted them to their blue belts. And the boys teased their mom about soon catching up to her and promised to pass her. Shelley competed in a Rhode Island tournament and performed poorly, winning only 2 bouts by the skin of her teeth. Eric simply told her to shake it off. There's a lot to correct and a lot of hard work ahead, so get ready. But he wasn't much on pity. His expertise as an instructor paid off in Austin, Texas, where she went all the way to the championship round before she lost. She looked good, her speed was better, kicks more accurate, defense more effective, and more importantly, she seemed focused. Ricky, Brian, and Jason had each taken time to come in and work with her, and all felt that she was improving. Bree and Ricky's friendship grew, and he flew to New York to see her often. Shelley wanted desperately to ask him about things between himself and her daughter, but decided not to interfere. After all, they were adults. Well, Ricky was anyway. Bree was her little girl and always would be. The boys were scheduled to spend the Christmas holidays with their father, sending Shelley, who'd reveled in the holiday thing before the divorce, into a bit of a depression. Eric, concerned about her psyche, tried to help make things festive for her and the boys. On the Friday and Saturday before the kids left, Eric and Shelley, with Ricky and Bree, planned a huge holiday celebration of their own, which made the boys feel lucky. Eric gently guided Shelley in focusing more on celebrating the birth of the Son of God, and the boys seemed to be genuinely touched by the information. Mostly, though, they were excited that they get to have 2 Christmases. Sunday afternoon, after seeing Mark and Joey off at the airport, Shelley and Eric lay stretched out on the living room carpet, exhausted from the weekend's festivities. Ricky and Bree had taken off for an extended ski trip, and Shelley's mood was dark, to put it mildly. She glanced at Eric beside her as he gazed lazily at the ceiling. This is exactly what I was afraid of, she sighed. What were you afraid of? He asked innocently. Me loving you and you losing interest in me. After all, I guess the thrill wears off after a while. Eric rose up and glared down at her, irritation flashing in his eyes. Shelley, what are you talking about? Well, I'm lying here right next to you, and you don't even make a move to cuddle or kiss me or anything. Maybe you need someone smart and sophisticated like Robert's Eileen, or maybe a real looker like Angel. He sat up to face her, his legs in a half lotus. Are you serious? She shrugged. He sighed. I didn't make a move, as you put it, because I'm tired. Let me try to explain something to you. I'm trying to get you ready for the mart, and Shelley, you're not the easiest student to work with. At the same time, I'm trying to help you with the kids, which, let me say this now before you jump to conclusions, which is no problem. It does, however, take time and energy. We have another tournament in January and a big important one at Mardi Gras in February. And I'm just tired. There's nothing more to it than that. Shelley gazed back up at the ceiling, feeling ashamed of what she'd said to the man who'd seemingly dedicated his life to her. I guess I'm just tired too, she said softly. I know you love me, even though I can't imagine why. Shelley, Shelley, Shelley. What am I going to do about this self-esteem problem you have? You cannot, I repeat, cannot fight in the mart and continue to look at yourself the way you do. Shelley looked at the determination in Eric's eyes and knew this was going to be one of those learning situations. He never just let things drop. She wished she'd never said anything at all. His eyes filled with compassion, though, when he saw the miserable look on her face. Why can't you believe that I can love you completely? She shrugged. Well, maybe you did, but have already lost interest. He shook his head at her. You know, I could be hurt by what you're saying. In essence, you're saying that I'm incapable of real love. However, I realize what you're really saying is you don't feel worthy of my love. And Shelley, how can you be so unsure of your worth? The confusion in her eyes made him ask a simpler question. Did you date much in high school? Not really, not until Robert. Why not? She shrugged. Well, I was a tomboy. I was more into playing ball with the boys and going out with them. I suppose that's because I had brothers. And how was your relationship with your father? Well, good, I think. At least when I was little. But as I got older, all he ever did was criticize me. Criticize you about what? She shrugged. You name it. Pretty much everything I did. My grades, being lazy, but mostly about my appearance. What about your appearance? Oh, he said I was getting fat, and what's so bad is I believed him. So I wore these huge baggy shirts and fasted constantly. And then when I was older and had given birth to a few children and really had gained weight, I looked at the pictures of me when I was a teenager and I realized I was not fat at all. Actually, I'd been slim. She ignored Eric's heavy sigh and continued on. It made me so angry to realize that I went through all those years thinking I was fat and ugly. It kind of messed with my head. So so now when someone tells me I'm pretty, I just lap it up like a starving kitten. Do you think that's vain? You don't have a vain bone in your body. Everyone needs to feel good about themselves. That includes their physical selves. Still, Shelley, everyone also needs to let go of past hurts. What's done is done. You have to let go. Don't let your past define you. You are a valuable person. Your father's verbal abuse doesn't take away from your value unless you let it. And nor does he hesitated to mention it and then decided to go for it. Nor does being raped. No one can take away your value as a person unless you allow it. When she didn't react, he went right on past it. But as far as your appearance, I'd say you're close to perfection. I'd put you up against anyone. Your face, your hair, your eyes, your body, all are breathtaking. And what's so good is they're like the gift wrap covering the treasures inside. When she frowned, he smiled and crooked a finger at her. Come here. Come closer, Shelley. Why? Well, it's obvious you don't believe me when I tell you how beautiful you are, and I'm going to give you a lesson. What kind of lesson? Trust me? Of course. Then come here. Slowly, she did as requested. Okay. Now let's get a closer look. His eyes traveled over her, making her blush. His fingers skimmed across her cheek, her hair, her shoulder, her arm, stopping here and there to linger, all the while whispering his appreciation of her beauty. Finally, he pulled her into his lap where he sat on the floor and brought her forward for a kiss before he spoke. I want you to repeat after me. I am beautiful. She laughed. Well, I'm not playing around, Shelley. Now say it. I am beautiful. Eric, she whined. You said you'd trust me. Now do as I say. I am beautiful. She sighed. I'm beautiful, she said half-heartedly. He shook his head. I'm afraid that won't do. Try again. I am beautiful, he said loudly. I am beautiful, she giggled. He reached out to gently touch her cheek. Say, I am loved, he commanded. I am loved, she said softly, beginning to realize that maybe she truly was loved. He went on and on, making her repeat different phrases. I am beautiful, I am loved, I am special, I am wonderful, I am smart, I am a child of God. And somewhere in there, a barrier began to break down. Tears filled her eyes and spilled over, but he didn't stop. He continued having her repeat phrases until she could barely speak at all. Finally, Eric reached out to pull her close against him and chanted with her. I am beautiful. I am loved. I am beautiful. I am loved. It ended with a deep and passionate kiss. He pulled away again so he could see her face clearly and look deeply into her eyes. Say it for me one more time, he demanded. Barely able to speak, she whispered, I am loved. Eric wiped the tears from her face. How do you feel? Shelley sighed. I'm not sure. Different, I guess. Drained. Loved? She laughed. You do make me feel loved. She looked up into his eyes. But You still don't want to make love to me. Oh, I want to. Sitting here with you on my lap, I mean, I'm human. I want you. But not yet. It's not right. Yet. Shelley nodded, accepting his values. Well, how many women have you ever been with? You're kidding. No, I'm not. How many? He pulled her back to him, kissing her before he spoke. You expect me to answer that? Yes, she laughed. Well, get used to disappointment. She laughed again. What's so funny? Oh, you're playing the game. That was from The Princess Bride. Oh, I'm going to have to rent some old movies so I can stump you sometime. It's not possible. We'll just see about that. He rose, walked to the door. For now, I have to go home and take care of some business. You get some rest and don't be late tomorrow. We don't have a lot of time without the kids before the New Year's tournament, so you know what that means. Yeah, Shelley answered. Torture and hell. I meant hard work and reaching goals. Proverbs chapter 31, verse 25. Strength and dignity are her clothing, and she laughs at time to come. And that is the end of chapter 13. And I only have one thing to say for chapter 14. Brace yourself.